What?
Oh, what a wonderful feeling to be fancy free and roll.
Give us your money.
Look, man, I don't want any trouble. I'm just here to do a job.
Oh, but what fun to wet your whistle and whistle your way back home.
Sultan. I bring news from the Western Front.
You get a tingling feeling from your toes up to your nose. When you pucker your lip, wet your whistle and whistle your way back home.
That was too easy.
What the heck is that?
The camels are coming! The camels are incoming!
I guess I'll have to take care of this myself.
It was at this moment that he knew. He f***ed up.
Okay, I can explain.
Horses have a keen sense of smell.
You stink like shit.
They find the strong odor of camels incredibly disgusting.
Why are you running? Why are you running?
Cataphracts, by definition, are fully armored from head to toe.
She's nice, isn't she?
You.
Their primary weapon was a two-handed lance. These were treated as disposable, one-time use weapons, as such a long spear was prone to breaking under the force of the charge, or simply getting stuck. So these cataphracts would carry side arms such as swords and maces. Such an elite force was also quite expensive. So only a small number of fully armored cataphracts could be afforded.
Hello there.
Ah, hello.
Is that who I think it is?
You.
Who, me?
Do you know what you're getting into?
Not really, no.
Let me ask you a question. Are you prepared to die for your cause?
No! I don't want to die!
Get your ass back here!
Who are you?
Kannst du dir das nicht denken? Ich bin du. Du hast sicherlich viele Fragen.
In an open battlefield, range and speed were of the utmost importance.
Sucker, you are in trouble tonight.
Aserai tribesmen would heavily favor ranged weapons, such as bows, javelins, or the sling.
You are fighting the greatest fight of all times.
The outcome of such battles was mostly decided by ranged weapons.
I'm fast, sucker. I'm gonna burn you up. Show me something. I can't
believe you shot me.
Skirmishers would only get deadlier with experience. To facilitate greater mobility, they would still be lightly armored.
Quiet.
Horses of the desert were usually lighter than Western war horses.
Get him off of me!
These horses were known for their intelligence and stamina.
Get him off of me!
I need something robust, precise. May I suggest?
Archers were valued highly in the desert. Master archers such as this one would be well protected with scale, chainmail, or lamella. Armed with a composite bow, they were incredibly talented. By holding arrows in the draw hand, highly skilled individuals could even shoot 2 to 3 arrows in quick succession.
Dude, how did you do that?
I'm an artist!
However, early Aserai would not have had the knowledge or raw materials required for making such bows.
Not enough cash, stranger.
The bow native to the desert was much simpler, made from a large, single piece of wood. These were much cheaper, but required more extensive training to use effectively.
Y'all ready to get funky?
The most important part of dance is music. So now let us listen to the music and identify the beats.
1, 2, 3.
But that was too soft.
Look at all this damage! Play it.
Mounted archers were not common in the desert. Unlike Eastern horse archers, they were not trained to shoot backwards while retreating. Horse archers like these would not be seen in the desert until the Kyrgyz rebellion and the influx of Khuzate slaves that followed it. These Eastern slaves would form much of the cavalry used by the Serenid Sultanate some 200 years later.
Let's not get carried away!
Nonetheless, these mounted archers could easily reposition behind the enemy, preferably atop a hill, and rain down arrows to devastating effect. Archers were also quite excellent in melee, despite the common misconception, because drawing a heavy bow on a regular basis tends to build up muscle strength. So in summary, the Aserai are highly adept at desert warfare but do lack a specialized heavy infantry. To fill the ranks of infantry, gilmen, or slaves would occasionally be deployed in battle.
Oh, wait a minute!
However, most slaves were domestic servants and would more commonly be female.
Bitch! This chicken is crazy!
But this would soon change with the arrival of Nordic slavers.
You want to explain to me what you're doing here?
I came looking for booty.
Stay back!
The word Mamluk means someone who is owned by another.
Wait, where am I?
So really, a Mamluk was no different than a Ghulam.
Wait, what?
But the word was used exclusively to describe slaves of fairer complexion. The largest and strongest of these men made excellent warriors.
Any bastard shows himself, I'll get him.
Through acts of valor and bravery on the battlefield, many would even reach important positions of power, eventually even usurping the Sultanate centuries later.
You have many slaves, but few warriors.
Are you sure about that?
What the hell you trying to do to me, boy? You trying to kill me with that hippity-hoppity jungle noise? Give me something with some class.
With the arrival of Nordic slavers, the influx of Western slaves to the south had increased significantly. Only a few of these slaves would have survived the journey, and fewer still made into capable soldiers.
Aye.
So Mamluks were really quite uncommon for much of the earlier period. Also quite uncommon in a medieval army were women. But examples of female warriors and even successful monarchs can be found throughout history.
Wait, you're serious, aren't you?
Ich bin du.
No!